Mr Speaker.
I call the Honourable Minister, Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, it is with great pleasure that I stand up to support the Prime Minister's statement. Mr Speaker, I did expect so early in the year to see the return of the Yena leader, the Yena party. I don't know about anyone else. I thought maybe he'd learned something over Christmas, maybe you would have sort of thought about it. But immediately we were back into, baby bonus, 59,000 babies a year, getting $60 a week for 52 weeks.
But you got it wrong.
Nah. Not for those 26,000 that are getting paid parental leave. They will not get actually that $60 a week. So but not what he actually said they would get. So he backtracks immediately. And probably not really. You're going to get $60 a week in your hand for those that are earning over $60,000 a year. And that one you might think about, but actually, if he's going to up the top tax rates, so let's think about this, he's going to tax people more, so take the money off them, but then, if you're one of those that have a baby, we'll give a bit back to you, so you're actually not better off by $60 a week because the top tax rate's going up, so we're going to tax you more and take more out of your pay packet, but then, some of them will get it back. And then by the way, the parental tax credit won't be there anymore, so if you're taking that off people, and yes, giving them the $60 a week, but they aren't in there when you add it all up getting $60 a week, they're getting more like $23 a week for 52 weeks. So that doesn't quite add up. So this is the great baby bonus. Do you know what I think?
Tell us.
I think that they had a totally different announcement to make on Monday, that actually they had a bit of it with the PPL maybe, but they were giving a completely different speech. Then when John Key trumped them on his excellent education policy, when he read actually what the commentators all said the week before, which was we're expecting Labor to come out with a great social speech that's going to tackle this so-called inequality growth that we're seeing that they have made up, they all of a sudden rethought it and in a big hurry have had to bring forward an announcement I think they had for a lot later in the year and try and run this one out. And that's why we've seen the mistakes, that's why we've seen the gaps, that's why we've seen them not know the detail to the level that they should and have completely embarrassed themselves in the first few weeks of this year already. I'll tell you the main reason I'm standing here supporting this Prime Minister and this government. I have seen through the toughest times a government that has supported those that have needed it most. I've seen an increasement in hardship grants given to those that needed it when we saw that recession hit. I saw extra payments for those in Christchurch that went through employers to keep them attached to jobs. I have seen subsidies for wages like we have never seen before and increasing rapidly. And there's many good reasons, and I'm sure I could stand up here and try and take a bit of credit for that myself, but that has been because of the leadership of John Key.
That's right.
John Key and this government believe in the aspiration and the hope for every child in this country. We believe that they are not necessarily predetermined by a product of where and how they are born. We believe that no matter what your income is, who your parents are, what state house you may or may not live in, there is hope, there is aspiration, there is belief in you being them and those children and their abilities. Right. And we may disagree in this House and what we have to do to back those kids, but no one in this House, no one outside of it should deny that this government cares deeply for them and will make decisions that we passionately believe are in their best interests. Right. I say to members in this House, I say to anyone that may be listening, there are far too many of children in this country who are living daily lives of hell. We have more than 22,000 substantiated cases of abuse and neglect. You know what? In my world and for all that I know, my guess, and it is I reckon that's about a third of it, as far as being at that level of where there should be state child, youth and family intervention. On top of that, we have another 10 to 15% of truly vulnerable children whom we hope we get with programs like Family Start and Strengthening Families. But we have to say to ourselves, with all of the investment and all of the money that we have been putting in for a long time, and not just this government, but quite frankly Labor as well, right through the 2000s, we have not got the right resources early enough to the right children to see them actually have a safe, protected, loved environment that means that they can thrive. The Children's Action Plan delivers that.
That's right.
It is not one magic bullet, not one magic thing that I will do. It's not a program that we will address. It is a concerted way of working with more than 30 initiatives that all put those children unapologetically at the centre of all of the policy work we're doing, the community work on the ground. We're working with we're working with whanawura, we're working with police and education, we're working with health at such a level. 2 children's teams up already, and we are seeing children going through them. One plan for that child. One plan that everyone agrees to. Solid relationships with an expert that can get in alongside of them and their parents. We're not just working with the child because we know to see the best outcomes for them, you have to be working with the adults around them as well. We are working on them making sure that those children have access to the right services and the right time that they need. The right staunch advocates that quite frankly has been delivered by some outstanding NGOs around this country. The difference that the children team gives them is it gives them accountability. Gives them direct access to the most senior members in their area, in their region, that can break down the barriers that mean that these children can't get access to the services that they need quickly. Let's be honest, for some of these parents, they do not have the capability that you or I might have to staunchly advocate for what they and their children should get by right of being in this country. By right of being New Zealanders or here and having access to and direct to the sort of health treatments, the kind of education and everything else that they can. So this puts that person right next to them. It then gives them a lead professional from health and education and justice and police. How can a child progress when their court case perhaps for a custody or for some sort of allegations that are around them has been put off 3 times? How can we actually see that child make the right connections with the people they need to actually move forward from a horrendous, what we see, and for far too many thousands of kids in our country? The children's teams can break that down, actually give direct access to the lead experts in justice in that region, and make sure that because this child is particularly vulnerable, they are fast-tracked, they are given priority. When we do gateway assessments, which is where we do a full medical assessment on some of these children, what we see is far too many unmet health needs. Let's be honest, health needs that you and I might have identified in our own children. They can't quite, they're not seeing right. For some of them, we're talking about club feet and not being able to walk properly, some pretty horrendous stuff. We're able to get them that sort of access. We want to have a debate about children and babies this year for election year. Let's talk about our most vulnerable. Let's actually address the shame that we should have for how some of our children are treated by the very people that are supposed to love and protect them. And let's all carry that shame and turn it into action. Let's unashamedly say we will put more resources into them. Let's put them at the front of the queue, ahead of our own children, because that's where they deserve to be, because they actually need extra support and help.
That's right.
And if we as this House want to actually address what needs to be done for those babies and for those children, then we need to stand up together and actually recognise what it will take. Because it's going to take more than us. It's actually going to take the community, those NGOs, it's going to take each of those police officers out there. It's going to take our courts to actually address what needs to be done. Our health departments to recognise that maybe if they've got 2 kids with the same needs but one's vulnerable and one's not, they will prioritise that vulnerable children. And I will be the minister that will stand up and advocate and fight for that for everything you had. You want to fight on your hands this election about vulnerable children? Let's do it, but let's stand together on it.
Great speech. Great.
I call the honourable member.